Hello there, Oscar Carmona, owner of Healing Grounds Certified Biodynamic Nursery located in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. I'd like to talk to you today about how to make a worm composter. Making your own worm composting bin is not as complicated as it might seem. It's a perfect option for people that live in condos, in limited areas. The other nice thing about it is you can choose a product or a material such as a Tupperware bin to use as your bin, and it's a very affordable way to go. And the main thing is that you want to buy a bin that has enough volume to handle the kind of waste stream that you are creating in your kitchen. This is primarily a good option for kitchen scraps. The other thing is to make sure that you put some sort of aeration openings, holes, if you will. Here I have them along the upper end. I don't like to put any holes down low because for me, I think that the potential for leakage of worm tea will be a little bit messy. Once you have your bin, there's two other things. You need, actually three. You need some bedding for the worms. I'm creating strips with the newspaper, and I'm going down the length of the newspaper so that I can get some nice even strips. Now the red worms are worms, a variety of worms or species of worms that live in the leaf litter. So they're in the upper parts of the soil, which is basically leaves or compost, manures. In a worm bin with kitchen scraps, maybe the addition of some leaves or newspaper, you're basically creating the kind of environment that red worms like. So I've taken and I've shredded a bunch of newspaper, and you want to moisten it. One of the main things that can go wrong with the worm bin is it's too dry. You'll get ants that may inhabit the bin. I liken it to a fully charged sponge, but you don't want to see puddles of moisture underneath. And I've already done a lot of moistening at this point, so I'm going to add my worms, and the worms in this case are coming from my worm bins here in my nursery, and there's an assortment of organic materials in here, food for them, some grass clippings and other kitchen waste. There's also cocoons in here that the worms will hatch out of, and basically adults and teenage worms, if you will. And this is about a 2-gallon container, and you don't want to necessarily spread them out. I like to just leave them in a general area, maybe level them out a little bit. And I'm going to cover them up. They're light sensitive with some of their bedding, which is the shredded newspaper. And I'm going to add a little bit more water. And I'm going to add their food on top of it. I'm going to give them some food now. The thing is, this is kitchen scraps. This looks fairly fresh, and it is. And the thing is that, and it's basically vegetative matter. You can see peelings and coffee grounds and even filters here. I'm going to add to this bin probably about the same amount of kitchen waste. 3 times a week is a good amount of time, I think, to add. And I have a container in my kitchen that I'm using to dispose of my kitchen waste as I create it. And then every 3rd day I bring that bucket out to the bin and dispose of that waste. And what I'm doing here is creating a little bit of a buffer above the worms as well. And once you create a nice buffer, and the good thing about buffer is it'll keep the worms cool, and they'll come up to the surface because, as I said, they are light sensitive. But the other thing, and maybe even more importantly, is it'll keep the fruit flies and from putting larvae onto the surface of the food, and that creates a lot of kind of unagreeable activity with flies in your face and such if you were opening this up. If that were the case, you can just leave the lid off and for about an hour or so to kind of let those dissipate and then cover it up. And having a lid certainly is a good deterrent from flies. I hope you've learned a lot about how to make your own worm bin. I think it's a great tool for any household. Oscar Carmona, owner of Healing Grounds Certified Biodynamic Nursery located in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. Happy gardening.